Welcome back, Billiken fans. It's been 2 weeks, 2 long weeks. It's Zach Miller and Peter Hale. This is the Midtown Madness Podcast. Before we get going, thank you so much for listening. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. This episode and the whole season of the Midtown Madness Podcast, as you know, is brought to you by 2 Men in a Garden. Whether you like it mild or hot, chunky or cantina style, the people over at 2 Men have you covered. Not only do they have that basic salsa covered, you can also get their salsas in varieties like mango, strawberry, and peach. They even offer a sugar-free version. You can pick up their many products at any local grocery store or online at 2meninthegarden.com. Follow them on social at 2 Men Salsa. That's Instagram and Twitter. Pete, am I crazy or do I not see sugar-free salsa anywhere?
You not see it anywhere besides them?
I just assume
Yeah.
they're the.
Yeah, there's not much of it out there, but yeah, theirs is really good.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I guess I never paid attention because I just didn't know it was like an option.
Right. But hey, man, I'll make the case again for them here. Make it in other spice levels, and I'll be a subscriber to that stuff.
Oh, I still haven't gotten the cantina style yet, which is what I tried to convince them to name the Midtown Madness salsa. No. Yeah, I haven't tried it yet. Pete, let's talk about a little bit of a sour ending to a pretty sweet season.
Yeah, we're talking about baseball first off here, and you're right. It was a tough ending because especially after the first few games in that A10 tournament, you kind of felt like, okay, this team feels like they're peaking at the right time. Like they could be kind of one of those special teams that gets hot. But they ultimately fell in the finals, Zach, in the A10 tournament and in Richmond, Virginia this past week. And unfortunately for me, I just barely missed being able to go to the final. We were just getting into town as the first game was going on. And my brother, who lives in Richmond, had planned a big barbecue in his backyard around our arrival, and all of his friends were coming over with their dogs and a few kids and stuff like that. So I felt like I couldn't take my family to the second game of the doubleheader instead of this thing that was basically planned for us. So unfortunately, I missed it, but unfortunately for SLU fans, we ultimately didn't come out with a win in either of those games.
Yeah, no. The Billikens started off the tournament and with a 6-3 win versus 5 seed Richmond on Tuesday, the 23rd. The Billikens got out to a 3-0 lead in the first, but we all know it's never going to be enough in college baseball. By the way, again, watching the NCAA tournament,
yeah,
if you're betting on this tournament, you are a freaking psycho. You have an issue. You need to get your whatever adrenaline, serotonin receptors, whatever all that is, you need to get that checked out.
Yeah.
Because this isn't fun.
No, betting on college baseball is like a cry for help.
The lead grew to 6-1 after 5, but SLU made it a little interesting, as they liked to do in this tournament, except for the second game. They let Richmond get back to get one run back in the 6th and another in the 8th. Cole Smith was 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs. Ethan Sitzman, 2 runs, 2 RBIs. Hayden Moore went 2 for 3 with 2 runs. Hendo was really happy with the quality start from Jackson Holmes, who went 7.5 innings, gave up 3 runs, but only 1 earned. He emphasized the importance of getting good innings out of your starters in the conference tournament and how it makes life easier on everyone. I believe this was a tweet, Peter.
It was. And I really liked it. I thought it was a great point.
He's just so old. Hendrickson is so it's almost like it's kind of this beautiful thing he does where he kind of does a small a tweet press conference almost.
Right.
It's not anything deep. It's not even more than one tweet. A lot of times he'll just describe how happy he was with his team.
Yeah. And I like the contrast with a lot of other sports figures, like he's very frank and he's very just straightforward in his comments too. And you like listening to Joe Mazzulla, the Boston Celtics coach, after they lost in the NBA the Eastern Conference Finals. His comments were like, yeah, they played better than us tonight. And he would say like if they'd ask him some big question and he'd just be like, well, all the guys in our locker room really believe we've got a great group, like stuff like that. And it's like, dude, you just lost in very dramatic fashion in the Eastern Conference Finals. Like after coming back this series, then you get smoked in Game 7. And this guy who, by the way, played for Bob Huggins, maybe that's where he got it from, just has nothing at all to say. And it seems like it seems rude and immature and all of that kind of stuff. And then Hendo's just like, I'm an open book. I'm the straight shooter. Here it is,
Well, you could be, you could either get say nothing Joe Mazzulla, whatever is, I don't watch the NBA, dude. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or you could have like the hockey guy. Well, we just gotta, and they say the same thing, but they don't say nothing. Well,
Right.
We got to get pucks in deep, get in on the forecheck, cause some turnovers, pucks on net. I mean, you could have that too. So
Right.
you could get either I guess there's 3 ways. There's don't say anything, cliche, and then there's, actually just get into it.
Right.
And then that's Hendo. So, yeah, I appreciate, I think Hendrickson just kind of coaches and lives with a chip on his shoulder, almost feels like
Sure.
I don't know. It's something about, I think it's something he identifies with St. Louis University in that way.
Yeah.
In that, we're a small Catholic school that doesn't have a massive fan base, but we punch above our weight sometimes.
Right. Right.
Or we like to think we do. Jack Weber got the save with a perfect 1 2/3 innings of relief in this game, setting up a game against the number 1 seed St. Joe's, which they didn't look much like a 1 seed. And I don't think that this entire tournament played out in a way that I don't think anybody expected.
No, although St. Joe's has not been a great pitching team this season. My God, they looked horrible in this game. Their pitchers were just like completely overmatched. 23-8 was the win SLU had over 1 seed on Wednesday, the 24th. I guess if there's ever a time to score a season high in runs, it's the conference tournament. I wouldn't have been upset if they saved a few of them.
I love that. I love that. Like that. Speaking of cliches, it's such like a ridiculous cliche in sports. Oh, save some runs for the next game.
It's so kind of true. It's kind of true, but yeah, whatever. Like if they're available, take them.
Yes, exactly.
And SLU did. They took a 5-0 lead in the second, but St. Joe's quickly responded, making it 5-4 in the bottom of the inning. And then when SLU added another in the third, the Hawks took the lead with 3 more. But then SLU got 3 more in the 5th and never let go of the lead. They got 1 in the 6th, 2 more in the 7th, 8 in the 8th to really make it a laugher, and then 3 more in the 9th because why not? SLU got those 23 runs on 20 hits. Pretty efficient baseball. And then St. Joe's walked 9 batters, hit 2 more, and gave up 3 stolen bases. So they did everything they could to help SLU in this one. The stats here, Zach, are just silly. Just about any player would be worth highlighting in a normal game if you just take his line. But a few standouts. Tyler Fogarty had a school record 6 runs on a 5-for-5 day from the plate. Knox Preston had 4 runs on only 1 hit. Cam Redding led the team with 5 RBIs. And then Redding, Fogarty, and Austin Newegg all homered. Henry Lippman gave up 7 in 5 innings, but he still got the win. Credit to Hendo to stick with him during this one. I think it was the right decision. And then credit to Colby Downard and Evan Gray for coming in and taking care of business in relief. I think it takes a lot of poise to kind of stay focused in a game like this that's just goofy. Yeah. And those guys got out there and just took care of business.
You mentioned Hendo sticking with Littman through 5 innings?
5, yeah, even though he had given up 7 runs.
People forget that he let Bryant Cotton throw 165 pitches in a game, in a conference tournament game. So, you know,
Yeah, no regrets.
I know. 6-5 win in their third game versus 6 seed George Mason on Friday the 26th. Dude, this was an intense game, and I honestly, like, we were chatting it up with Chapley during this game, and man, he's right. This George Mason team just like they're just annoying as hell.
Yeah. Yeah, pesky. Very much
Yeah.
so.
SLU took a 4-0 lead into the fifth when George Mason scored all 5 of their runs. SLU then retook the lead with 2 in the seventh and held on for the win. Mason's 5 fifth inning runs came on just 2 hits. Owen Chafin was great for the first 4 innings. Then he lost his control. I think I tweeted out Owen Chafin. What happened?
Yeah.
Like it wasn't fun. He hit the first 2 batters. Then they advanced on a wild pitch. Then after a pop out, he hit another batter and walked a guy before SLU brought on Jack Weber in relief. That was something the announcers talked a lot about in this tournament, was like hit batsmen. I think like a couple guys got hit like 3. One guy got hit 3 times in a game, and I think it was a Billiken. It was either a Billiken or a Mason player. I don't remember.
Fernando Vina-esque.
all the armor on the
That's
on the
right.
forearm. Weber walked the first batter and gave up 2 straight singles before settling down. After that, he was solid. Ethan Bell came on for the save. Coming off that offensive explosion against St. Joe's, pretty modest stuff from the Billikens here. 8 hits, but they strung them together at the right times. First run in the seventh was unearned, aided by an error, and then Cameron Swanger sent home the final run on a sac fly. Pete, that's about where it ends positively for the offense, especially in this tournament.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if the day off you get, that extra day off as the top seed, right? The team coming out of the top of the bracket, the winner's side. Everybody else in the tournament, by the time you face them in the finals, now has lost, but they have to get through the semifinals to figure out who's going to face that team coming out of the top half. So SLU gets a day off, and in the meantime, George Mason, who they beat? Davidson to get in? No, they beat Davidson.
Dayton. They beat Dayton.
Right. That's who it was.
Because Pujols.
Yeah. and those all reds, right?
Oh,
the all red
they're
jerseys.
horrible.
Right. Oh, so you had green and yellow against all red. It was a lot. But regardless, SLU faces 6 George Mason again. This time in the finals. And the way it works is if SLU wins the first game, it's over. If they lose the first game, they play a second. So it was 4-1 the loss in the first game, Saturday the 27th. And SLU could they could only muster 5 hits in this game. Cam Redding had 2 of them and scored their only run in the second inning on a Cameron Swanger RBI single. Dawson Smith started and was pulled after giving up the first 2 runs in the 4th inning to George Mason. Colby Downer took the mound and gave up the next 2, though. Evan Gray pitched the final 4 2/3 innings, and he managed to scatter 8 hits, but not enough not to allow any more damage. But Mason didn't end up needing anything else because they shut SLU down at the plate. So, Zach, we had to move on to game 2, and unfortunately, this one didn't go our way either.
Yeah, no, I almost got this game turned on at the Armory. I was up at the Armory. I met a buddy up there. We ended up going to the city game on Saturday night. And I asked them to put it on, and I don't think they could ever find it. But yeah, I did. I was trying to watch this on my phone, and once that, it got, I just kind of was like, you could see it coming in this one.
Sure.
Like, it just felt like it was not our day, and it wasn't. It was a 6-2 loss against George Mason in game 2. Mason scored in the top of the first. SLU answered in the second and added another in the fourth. But the 3 errors gifted Mason 2 runs in the 6th, and they scored another in the 8th, 2 more in the 9th. And those errors were really just kind of like, it was almost like insult, injury / microcosm of watching Billiken baseball and softball.
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
tournament, where it's just like, Yep, that's how we lose. Okay. That's
It's
exactly how
amazing that
things have
that
gone.
that for both teams it came down to some defensive lapses. Really odd.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
SLU ended up with 4 errors in this game. Speaking of lapses, just really tough for a closeout game. Cole Smith 3 for 4 with 2 runs. Swanger 2 of 3 with both of SLU's RBIs. Jackson Holmes started and threw 7 1/3 quality innings. Ethan Bell gave up 2 runs in 1 1/3, and Reed Hendrickson got the last out of the game. The Billikens finished the season 33-23. I mean, I don't think you can look at this tournament any other way other than a disappointment. I mean, looking at the seed, of course, you can say that it wasn't a disappointment, but I mean, this team was looking at a top seed going into that last series
Yeah, we
or
talked
the
about it
series
before.
before last, the second to last series.
Right. We talked about it the last time 2 weeks ago when we talked. It was anybody in those top 4 could have had the top seed, and really anybody in the top 7 had a shot at it, up
Clearly.
until the last couple weeks. I mean,
Oh
it
no, I
was
thought you
really
meant
tight this year.
I thought you
Um,
meant the championship. I was like,
sure.
yeah,
Well, I mean,
clearly.
yeah, 7 make it, but
Yeah.
but I mean, like, it had a chance at that top seed up until the last 2 weeks of the season. So it was a tight league this year. The top half was really tight, and it was anybody. So no, the fact that of the 4 seed makes the final is not shocking in this league at all. They had as good a chance as anybody, and really for the first few days, it felt like they were the team to beat.
Yeah. Really tough. Pete, we got some all conference awards though. Well deserved, I think, here.
Yeah, for sure. Not quite as many honorees as the softball team, but nonetheless, pretty cool to see. Cam Redding, first team all conference at first base, as well as all academic. Patrick Closey at outfield and Cole Smith at DH made the second team. And then Ben Cherico made the all rookie team as a relief pitcher. Again, a year with a lot of parity in the league. So it's not like anybody stacked up the whole all conference teams or anything like that. But congrats to everybody who took home some silverware.
Cam Redding signed with the Milwaukee Milkmen of the American Association of Professional Baseball. I'm not familiar with this one. The only independent league I'm really familiar with was the Frontier League because of the Rascals
Right.
here.
Right.
The AA typically recruits undrafted college players trying to get seen and former league affiliated players trying to get re-signed. But this league is made up of former teams from the Northern League and the Central League. Reading debuted on Sunday the 4th and had 2 hits and 2 RBIs. No shocker there.
Right.
And that was a win over the Chicago Dogs.
Perfect name.
Yeah, very good name. He
No,
graduated
no
with
notes.
he graduated with a BS in entrepreneurship. I have no idea.
Entrepreneurship. It's
Clearly,
okay.
I graduated with a BS in English.
Yeah,
Meaning my
the
degree is
BS is
bullshit.
right.
He got his MBA this year. Yeah, that's it for baseball. We're gonna have to talk about basketball.
Do we? I'd rather talk about the Northern League in baseball and how I like the Northern League. Went to a Duluth Superior Dukes game back at in my childhood.
The DSDs?
The DSDs at Old Wade Stadium. But unfortunately, we don't get to talk about independent minor league baseball. We got to move on, Zach. And yeah, I got to say though, moving to recording on Monday nights did give us the ability to have more to talk about because as
Yes.
of this morning, you texted me a gif of someone basically yawning and trying not to fall asleep because that's kind of what it felt like for the last couple
Yes.
weeks with regard to the lack of news coming out of this program.
Yeah, I honestly like, dude, up until this news, and I think even after, like, I think we've all just kind of agreed that like this program feels like, and I say we all, meaning the group chat we're in, we all feel like this program is on sabbatical. It's
Yeah.
taking a vacation.
Right, just like I did last week, and it
it
felt like it was a good week for me to go on vacation because I wasn't missing anything. Like anytime I would check in with Twitter or anything else, which was pretty rare because I was in pretty rural areas, except for when I was in Richmond. I would kind of scroll through a little bit and realize like there's not much going on here. There's nothing new, and if there was, like I'd probably be getting texts or something, and nothing.
it just does not. It feel like it literally feels like we're taking the year off.
Yeah.
I just can't think of a more bizarre off season. Like the only thing that comes close is the stuff that involves legal proceedings.
Yeah, but all of those tended to happen like as the school year had already started,
Yeah.
right? I mean, like we're talking about early summer right now. It's June 5th as we record, June 6th as this drops. And by now you've normally had a pretty good idea of what your roster looks like, what your coaching staff looks like, what things are going to feel like next season. And it's wide open. I mean, and based on this first piece of news, Zach, we're back to 3 open scholarships. And it kind of feels like we don't have an idea of what those are going to look like.
And I've never looked at like a returning roster with like less known about it either. I mean, that's what makes it all like that really brings it all together because besides Gibson Jimerson, I mean, yeah, we know a little bit about Sincere Parker. We know a lot about Terrence Hargrove, but like, what are they going to bring? Like, how do they fit in as like major players on this team?
And it's funny because the narrative right now around Parker, well, there's no narrative, but the conversation that I've been seeing is like it
Speak your
feels
truth.
very split. It feels very split. Like there are people saying he's the guy who's going to break out in this conference and become like an all-conference player who can score, who can light it up. Just wait until he gets some minutes. And then there are other people saying, I just don't see it. I won't believe it until I see that. And he played 12 minutes a game. You definitely saw flashes of it, but it's just a question of what does that translate into if he's playing, well, 30 minutes or high 20 minutes. I just don't know yet. And that's like the guy we know the third most about, right? Of all the players who are coming back to this team.
Incredible.
So I just don't know what to make of that. And then who's Jimerson going to be with an unknown at point guard, right? I mean, like I hate to use the word unknown now that Mr. Unknown is gone,
I didn't
but
even make that connection.
neither did I until it came out of my mouth. But we have a freshman coming in, and at this point, we don't know who else is going to be really in the backcourt with him. I mean, it's just it's a puzzle, Zach, and I don't know. But maybe we should get to this first piece of news and go through this. We've got a decommitment, and it's a big one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know who's on this team right now. I can't name 5 players right now. That's insane. Yeah, CJ Noland. Uh,
Should I read his statement?
you should.
Uh, I want to extend a huge thank you to St. Louis University and their coaching staff in support of continuing my purpose and fulfilling the goals I've set from the start. It is necessary that I reconsider all aspects. After several conversations with my family and much prayer, I've decided to open up my recruitment again. I'm officially ending my commitment to SLU and considering other schools at this time. Thank you for the ongoing support. Much love, CJ Noland. And then a few days later, he said, I want to take my time. I want to take the time out to acknowledge and send my appreciation to all the conferences / schools that recruited me once again. For new schools for their first time recruiting me, it's been an honor. And then he goes on to list 11 conferences, the A10s in there, SEC, Big 12, Big South, Big West, a couple others. Very odd.
What?
With much consideration, I will be making my decision soon. It's weird to just list conferences, right? But then ultimately, Zach, this afternoon we find out he's going to North Texas. And why do we think he's doing that?
No, the dry heat.
Hometown. He put it on Twitter as if it was.
I'm coming home as if he left.
There's no place like home,
Oh
right?
my God.
I mean, I guess he was at
these
Oklahoma.
things are so cheesy and cliche and all horrible.
I feel bad for him having to pay for multiple graphics in one summer, or one spring season, right? I mean,
it's fiscally irresponsible.
It is
to decommit these days.
But regardless, Zach, he's going to North Texas, and as we know, former SLU assistant Phil Forte is at North Texas.
No,
so this is now the third decommitment we've had, and it kind of feels like those are all Forte guys at various points who we thought were solid, and unfortunately that we don't have next year, and it's kind of a mystery what things are going to look like now.
I'm going back to that tweet we saw that we tried to decipher on our show. I'm just connecting dots, Pete.
Yeah. So Zach's over there in his tinfoil hat, and there was a tweet we talked about a couple months ago where somebody tweeted out a rumor that there was an A10 coach shopping himself around and said he could bring, did he say 3?
I thought he said 3.
I think he said 3 players with him. Now granted, this was, someone saying that he was hearing an A10 coach was saying this, shopping himself around as a package deal. Forte goes to North Texas, and he doesn't take 3 guys with him. Brock Weiss went to Creighton. Mm-hmm. Noland, I think at the time, had not yet committed to SLU. I don't even remember the timeline exactly.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was close, right? I guess my point is, like, I still don't think that was Forte.
But
even if that's what ended up happening.
So 2 ways I think you can look at the quote 3 players.
Uh-huh.
I mean, we at the time kind of were like, well, we don't have any players to take. Like, we can't conceivably think of 3 players on the roster that would be gone. But we never, it's like a coach saying, hey, I've got these guys that want to commit. I don't know if I'm staying here.
Right.
And are willing to commit to me personally.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we assumed that it would be transfers. We never assumed that it was decommitments and or non-committed players that were going to sign with us.
Right. Yeah, I mean, look, it sure looks like that. I mean,
and also,
or I could see why it looks like that, right?
And also, I mean, Brock Weiss ain't going to North Texas. He ain't decommitting from SLU to go to North Texas.
Right. I think it looks bad when you think of it like that, because that's what kind of ended up happening, right? But I think it depends on what you believe about what's been going on within our program in the last few months. And there's been a well discussed, argued about rumor that, Travis Ford has had some pressure on him from some of the boosters that donate money to this program. And one of the nuggets of that rumor was that he had some pressure to shake up his coaching staff. And we saw Forte move on. We saw Will Bailey move on. Both of those guys went to, fairly similar level programs in their hometowns. So you could argue that they had opportunities that made sense to them at the time, and they took them. You could also argue that maybe he really did have some pressure to shake things up. He brings in Chris Harriman. But I think whether or not you believe that that's what happened, what's undeniable is that this is, if that's the case, if that is what happened, this coaching change of losing Phil Forte has hurt this program in the short term because we've lost some key players on account of his departure. One of them following him to North Texas. And there's just no denying that hurts in the short term. Maybe in the long term, Harriman and whoever the next guy is wind up being better fits, more productive for the program than Bailey and Forte. But we won't know that for a while, right? And if again, if you believe rumors that Travis Ford's seat is hot or getting warm anyway, how much more time do we have to actually see that bear out? So I don't see how this necessarily has helped us in the long term. As much as I like Chris Harriman, it's not his fault at all. It's just that we lost an assistant coach who had recruits attached to him, right? And had we lost Bailey, who hadn't been at SLU very long this time, and really hadn't made those big recruiting connections yet that you need a couple of years to make, and gotten Harriman, that's much different. But right now the program is hurting. It's clear that there are some issues, and there are some gaping holes in the roster, and that this has hurt us in the long run. And if those boosters are the ones who caused this to happen, I got to say, like, what are you doing? And like, I hope you're happy, because I really am not seeing the fruits of that push at all.
Mic drop.
Yeah, I mean,
And to be
I'm
clear,
keeping I'm keeping it polite. I'll put it that way.
But I mean, to be fair, well, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do the Letterkenny reference. No, like, seriously though, like, we said it on this show. I said it. I said I wouldn't mind seeing a coaching staff shakeup. I don't think that I meant, wait a month until we're in official, like, we're having kids commit for next season, out of the portal,
Right.
like, I think I don't know, dude. I said a fair play. I said roster shakeup. I think absolutely, when you have a tough season like that, a season that underperforms, you have to change something up. And I mean, I was half right. I'll go with that. I was wrong in that we were going to do it at the wrong time.
Well, I think we would assume that there would be a plan, right?
Yes.
Like it.
But then again, it really the kind of the I wonder how much of a plan the alleged attempted coup really was. Like, how much it wasn't just like.
Look, I don't know if that's 100% true. I mean,
Yeah, I
certainly
don't either.
the rumor happens, and then there are things that happen subsequently that make it look more and more true, right?
Yes.
So that's the only reason I give that credence. I normally like wait until I actually see evidence of something before just talking about it here like that. But I think there's at least enough reason to discuss it as a possible thing that happened. It's one of those things, like, if that is what happened, you either have to be prepared, and other people have said this, but you either need to be prepared to fire the coach, or you need to just back off, keep your hands off, and let him run the program. And there's no middle ground on this. There's no compromise on this that works. The head coach is the CEO. He's got to be able to run things the way he sees them. He's got to have a lot of
autonomy.
He needs that. I mean, that's just the way it is. And now more than ever is a time where a coach needs to be able to step back and delegate where necessary, because this job's gotten a lot more complicated in the last 3 years than it's ever been before. And maybe that's to me, that's the conversation that the AD has with him going, look, this season didn't pan out like we thought it would. Here are some things that we've got to do differently, either administratively or from a personnel standpoint or whatever. But I don't think you can just let donors walk in there and start making demands unless they're willing to put forth the funding to
Right.
get a new coach. And
You
that means you're
if you
paying
call
two
that
guys a lot of
yeah.
money.
If you call that meeting, you better have the briefcase with you.
Yeah, right. Because if not, the coach really has all the power. Even if you can, even if you are able to force certain things for certain changes,
Yeah.
now you're just making him reset part of his program for what, to what end?
Yeah.
Um, so I really hope that's, I really hope it's all fake. I really hope that that's not true because it really makes everyone look dumb, to
Yeah.
me, because
I
this is damaging.
I mean, I am right with you, but I'm gonna take it one step further back because I got to do it.
Uh-huh.
If Chris May just gets that messaging right,
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, yeah, yeah. It's it.
all I'm saying is it's there is a lot of failure that um we witnessed this season.
Mhm.
Just as we failed to put out an episode last week. So it takes a failure to know a failure. I get it. Anyway, yeah, no, I don't know. I was trying to be nice. Come on, man.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, but I think everybody's kind of reached a point where even the biggest apologists have to be scratching their heads, going like, "Okay, what's the vision here? What's the plan?" Because we
You'd
aren't
be
seeing.
surprised, Peter. I
Yeah,
think there are people out there that
I guess
still
you're right.
think that, I mean, look,
At least publicly. I mean,
you
privately,
know,
they have to be going, "Come on, don't make me look bad here."
uh, I mean, yeah, it's baffling. This entire off season, it's dragged on for what seems like an eternity.
Yeah.
I will be so happy, although I'm not trying to send summer packing just yet. I will be so happy to have Billiken soccer back, and we're going to get into it later. But I'm excited about a lot of things going on with that program.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, there's always going to be reason for optimism, but like with this particular program, 3 scholarships in June is too many,
yes.
for a program that does not have a big returning core, right? If it's last season and we're just filling out the bench, if this is the time of year where you're picking up guys like Cisse and Rivera, you're taking flyers on potential projects that may or may not work, fine, because you've got a big fat returning core. Your roster is your rotation's basically set. But this season, our rotation is not even close to set. Like, we need contributors. We need high rotation players, arguably starters. And they're just not out there right now, like in June. And if they are, there might be other teams that are desperate too, and it makes them more expensive in this marketplace. And I don't know what the plan is, man. I don't see a plan. I don't see a vision right now. I hope I'm wrong. I want nothing more than for us to be eating crow
Mm-hmm.
7 months from now when we just had a great non-conference season. I don't
Because
know
I'll
though,
have
man.
a ton of fun if that happens. And
Oh, of course. Yeah.
oh man, I think I'm going to become like an Alabama football fan, just as like an emotional hedge to my life.
Well, being a Cardinals fan was kind of always that, right? Like it was like here's a pro team that's always competitive, that's always in the playoffs, that's got a shot to win it more often than not. But that's not really working out for us right now either.
I guess I got City right now.
Their city, yeah.
City's fun. Maybe I'll get into like the lingerie football league or something. Find one of the juggernauts. Oh, thinking about it. Maybe I'll watch community college basketball, Pete.
You might as well because Momo Cisse, friend of the show, is off to Trinity Valley Community College, which was announced by the Portal Report late on Sunday the 4th, last night as we record. Zach, are you surprised to see him drop down to that level?
I mean, I don't know.
Yes and
I,
no.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see it if like, the indications were to get stronger. I mean, absolutely. Like go down there and lift some weights. I don't know, man. Maybe
I
he
do.
thinks he can up his stock. Maybe he doesn't really want to go low, one bid league. Maybe he's got
Yeah.
higher aspirations.
Well, we've seen some former bigs go on, like Traore, for instance,
Yeah.
averaged almost a double-double at Long Beach State this year. He is great. So we've seen guys drop down within D1 and do well from that sort of project big spot that we've constantly been rotating. But the question for me is whether it's more valuable for him in the long term to be at a bigger program and not playing as much, but having the level of strength and conditioning, the level of practice competition, and higher level instruction that you get there. Because in JUCO, it's still kind of the Wild West there, like you're just it's not
Yeah.
the best in terms of strength and conditioning. It's like Bell. Look at Jimmy Bell. He comes to SLU, he takes off all that weight, gets in good shape, gets his first couple seasons in, goes to JUCO, puts all the weight back on, goes to West Virginia, takes all that weight back off. Like it's a real thing that you just don't have those resources, the attention, as well as he played. It was just not. It was clear that he just didn't have all of the resources to be a more complete player. So is what's more valuable, like guaranteed playing time in JUCO or all of the other benefits of playing at a relatively higher level D1 program. So I don't know what's best for him, but I know he's a guy who hasn't been playing all that long. I think something like 5 years total in basketball. So to me, I would almost rather have the education, the resources of what D1 gives you, but maybe playing time's what he really needs. I don't know, man. But regardless, he's a nice kid. I wish him the best. At his new stop.
You ever ask any of the guys that would be comparable to Momo back in the day? You ever ask them what that's like? Just sitting on the bench. Like
Not dir-
I don't mean it in like a bad way. I mean in just like what's that experience like? Like what I don't know. It's a weird concept, right? You imagine that you're going to go to college to play basketball, and like you play basketball, but you never play in a game. Like I just don't. I just don't. Seems like a different type of person that would have
not
to.
not really directly, but it's something you observe. But I think most of these guys, especially the underclassmen, they all think, well, I'm next. I'm gonna play. And that's in an age of like unlimited transfers and NIL and all of the things that exist today that didn't exist when I was around these guys as a manager, 15, 20 years ago. Um, there with the guys at the end of the bench who were underclassmen just kind of expected to be rotated through, right? Like it was always going to be them. Nobody thinks they're getting recruited over. Nobody thinks the guys coming in are better than them. And it's funny hearing Coach Harriman a few weeks ago when we talked to him about how Majerus was so blunt about that. Like my job is to bring in guys who are better than you, and your job is to be better than them, right? Um, all of those guys think they're going to play, and a lot of them think they're going to play in the pros eventually too. And the other thing about being around them all the time is you almost forget sometimes that some of these guys aren't playing a lot because you see them playing so much in practice. Like when I go back and look at stats from my era, I'm always surprised by them. They're never what I necessarily remember in my head because I saw them practice every day. Ross Varner is a guy who did not play much at all in his couple seasons at SLU. He transferred, if you remember, with Josh Fisher from Pepperdine. They were Romar guys, and he was a practice All-American. I mean, like he never missed a shot. He set the best screens you've ever seen. He did so many of those little things. And then I look at our stats and I'm like, whoa, he didn't play much at all. He really didn't. But like I thought of him as like a really effective power forward, like because he was such a smart player who did all those things. And so it's almost weird in that sense. But he was also a guy who was on to bigger and better things outside of basketball. He's kind of, more of an exception than the rule. But yeah, I think all of those guys think they've got bigger things in store, bigger minutes in store until they're an upperclassman going, wow, this is just kind of my role now. So no, I guess I never really had an in-depth conversation about that, but I just think
I
it's
should just chat up Jack Raboyne.
yeah, there you
But I
go.
mean, he was a walk-on, he
Like
wasn't.
he knew the deal right out of the gate.
Yeah, I wonder, like, I mean, I don't like, I go back and forth. Like you look at like that show Blue Mountain State. I don't know if you remember that show. It's probably out of your off
No, I
your
never saw
radar.
it.
But anyway, the whole premise was that the main character was the backup QB for one of the best football team in the country in NCAA, and like, but he embraced that idea. Like he thought it was the best. Like you got to party, you didn't have to do anything, right?
Sure.
So you wonder, like, I don't know. It might be fun to just like be along for the ride and not really have to, you know, you know, put yourself in harm's way every night. I don't know.
Yeah, it's all situational, and yeah, everybody's different. I've heard it argued that backup QB is the best job in the NFL.
Yeah.
You're a little overpaid for what you are. You don't have to, you've got no pressure. It's almost a nightmare if the top QB gets hurt, because then it's like, oh no. There goes my lifestyle.
Kurt Warner is one of the few that would disagree.
Oh, I know. I'm sure most of those guys actually do disagree, but I don't know. Guys like Chase Daniel had a pretty nice career, not having to do all that much in games.
Disavow that endorsement.
I'll think of another example.
Let's talk about some other transfers, Pete.
Not a whole lot of news, Zach. Like we said, this is all pretty
Very
weak.
little.
We know there was a guy named Elijah Jointer from Tennessee State on campus. He didn't play as a freshman at Tennessee State, and he was a high school teammate of Phil Jones at Mount Carmel up in Chicago. So who knows if this was even an actual visit or just a
He
guy
was just there to hang out.
who's
He
social
heard
media.
He heard Humphreys was reopened.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, that's very possible. Some other transfer news that we have: Malcolm Dandridge from Memphis was getting, connected to SLU on in some tweets as schools that were interested in everything, and we had played against him last season, and then we were kind of hearing some rumors that he sounded like a real possibility, but then all of a sudden he comes out with a top 6, and SLU was not on it. So much for that rumor. And then the last little nugget is that SLU is listed as having interest in JUCO guard D. Merriweather from Gaston College, which I believe is in North Carolina. And then he's reporting interest from Richmond, Holy Cross, McNeese State, USC Upstate, and then a bunch of D2 and lower division schools. I got to say, that is not inspiring a lot of confidence. A guy who scored 11 a game in Gaston College, that's not the list of schools I want to be recruiting against. People said Rivera didn't have big numbers in JUCO, but I still think he was a bigger recruit than this guy. So I don't know what's going on here.
I still don't know who Daniel Rivera.
Well,
yes, that will be a running bit for the next 2 years.
I think he averaged about 10 and 7 in JUCO, and on a really good team. And then here's a guy who scores 11. Not the most efficient shooting numbers and not the best team. So like, I don't know what this is. I don't know if we're serious. I don't know if like they found some diamond in the rough that no one knows about, but I don't know. These other schools, man, Richmond, sure, that's fine. These other ones, not so much. USC Upstate, you don't want to be recruiting against USC Upstate. They have one of the 2 smallest gyms in Division I. I think the smallest, actually.
Yeah, I think that's right.
It's them and Charleston Southern. They both seat about 800.
Yeah.
Which is like, a small high school gym. So like,
one of the OG starter schools for a college hoops 2K7 dynasty.
There you go.
I believe. A10 portal news though, schools that actually have news about them.
Yeah, Deron Holmes is returning to Dayton, which for a long time, Zach, I didn't think was going to happen. Maybe I was just hoping because I was kind of sick of him. But yeah, he's coming back, and that's bad news for us.
Yeah, we got Zhang though. Zhang's gonna dunk on Holmes's head this season.
We got Big Bruce. We've got Big Brad. We've got Big Steph, so we've got some guys, but we have no idea if any
We
of
don't know
them.
if they're dudes.
We don't know if they're dudes. We're confident that they can go in and foul Holmes. But that's about all we know. And then Tyler Burtonzak entered the portal after not staying in the draft, and he's going to Villanova. How do you like that fit for him?
Sounds about right. I believe he'll change his name to Archidiacono. I believe that's what he will go by there.
Yes, which my father-in-law thought were two different names. Like he was like that kid Archie. He's good.
As I'm talking, I'm trying to think of his name as Diacono or Archidiacono. I was literally about to call him by half of his last name.
Yeah.
There's some less interesting news.
Yeah, just a few others. Abdu Sam from Rhode Island went to IUPUI. George Mason has a couple guys coming in. Jalen Haynes from East Tennessee State, excuse me. They also picked up Trey Wood from Long Island University, who started his career at UMass. I don't really remember him at UMass, but I guess that's why he wound up at Long Island after his freshman year. So yeah, not a whole lot of other portal news. It's really slowed down to a trickle, which is why if you're sitting on multiple scholarships right now, you should be a little bit worried at this point.
Very worried.
Mm-hmm.
The assistant coaching job, again, another thing that we have heard zero about. Well, we kind of heard rumblings about Nunez maybe promoted, and then that backfilled. But I mean, really nothing, maybe a little something.
All that's new is that they actually officially posted the job. So if you go to the careers page at slu.edu and look up athletic jobs, this is one of the 6 currently listed. Men's assistant basketball coach. We've also still got the coordinator job open, and that's it. Sometimes that's an indication that things are moving, but like, I don't know, this job's been open for several weeks and like they're just posting it now. I don't get it. I don't know. I'm not sure if it means anything or
not. Pete, let's talk trivia. I have been lying down on the job on trivia, just completely.
We both have.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of turned into one of those things where we kept trying. We could never find something that would be interesting enough, but not easily Googleable.
Yeah. We're going to get better at this. I promise. Yes. I'm vowing to. I've been so busy at work and then on vacation, and now I'm back and hoping that I can get into a more of a steady flow at work and kind of, be disciplined about when I have an idea, actually writing it down, and hopefully that will pay dividends. But until then, I think the poll question we teased a couple weeks ago, we should just go with and actually post it tomorrow morning. When we post the show tomorrow morning, we're actually going to post the poll question: which Billikens men's basketball player saw the greatest improvement over his career at SLU? And we kind of kicked around last time. Is that
let's not kick anyone around.
All right. Yeah. We'll just throw it out there.
I want, I want.
We'll put the question out there. We'll crowdsource it. Yes.
We are reaching. This is the second tier from the bottom of the barrel. You go crowdsourcing content, AI.
That's an interesting idea, actually. We should have ChatGPT develop trivia questions for us.
And then the answer is just whatever terribly wrong answer. That's amazing. See if you can guess what AI has.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's actually kind of funny. Yeah, is that original, or are we just totally stealing that from?
And I've never heard anyone say
I haven't heard anyone do AI trivia. Maybe we'll be the first.
We could say it's original. We just happen to think of an idea that I'm sure other people have had.
Yes. Pete, I want to talk some men's soccer because what I'm hearing out of the program right now is that Billiken fans, if you are down about men's basketball, if you are not seeing any light at the end of that off-season tunnel with men's basketball, you're going to want to latch on to men's soccer this year because the vibes are impeccable out of men's soccer. I know I know people around the program are extremely excited. The center back, Diego Konix, is very good. He's going to be stout in that back line, very much Kip Keller-esque. Not Kip Keller at the Austin St. Louis game, but Kip Keller here at SLU. They have there's rumblings that they might have a big time addition at the goalkeeper position. I know they're working on a big time All-American goalkeeper. And then
meaning that they're recruiting him, like they don't have a commitment yet.
I've heard things.
Okay.
The streets are talking.
They do have a 2024 goalkeeper committed as well.
Yes, this will be another one as well.
Out of Springfield, Illinois. Okay.
This will be a different one. Big time player.
Cool.
Returning redshirt freshman who's very good. Huge upside. They've been kind of posting on social media about this Minnesota kid. He's with Minnesota United, MLS Next, as well as Minnesota United.
Carlos Leatherman.
Yes, which is a great freaking name.
It really
Carlos Leatherman.
Does he get to wear one of the Leatherman like multi-tools?
No, he's actually no. What he's doing is wearing the Caribous jersey from the old NASL with the leather tassels.
Oh, there you go.
Yes, yes.
I like that.
They have a national Gatorade Player of the Year. He's battling an injury right now, but hoping he'll get back and ready for the season. This kid Jack Sullivan, who's going to be in the squad this year, reminiscent of a version of Kevin De Bruyne. Wow. which Bill McDermott will love that reference. There's nobody who likes to bring up Kevin De Bruyne more than Bill McDermott on a broadcast.
He's out of Colorado, Colorado Rapids Academy.
Needs to physically develop a little bit, but huge upside. Sounds like the team, they were really happy with the way the spring went, hungry and humble. They really focused on culture here in the spring season over, results, I think. But they're ready to get after it. And dude, I truly believe that the next 3 years, the Billikens will put themselves in a place where a national championship is within arm's distance.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like we're getting close to that already, like having lost as much as they did to the draft, being as competitive as they were this season, and then knowing what's on the way, it feels like there's a sustainable culture there.
Yeah, the 2024 class will likely be number one in the country, in addition to the 2023 class, filled with local talent, but also they're bringing in, national names, guys from outside the country that are more kind of like special players, right? Like the real special guys. They love to recruit locally, but then reach for that special player outside of the region. Right. Likely you're looking at a top 15, top 10 preseason. It should be an exciting season. This new assistant coach, Jack Roberts, is apparently insane on the recruiting trail. Hitting all the marks. Apparently what he did at Brown was truly special.
He turned them from nothing into competitive.
Yeah. They should have, Brown will have a great roster again this year, guys that Roberts brought in.
Yeah.
So very exciting, spring and summer for the Billikens. Keep an eye on it. I think it's going to be a great season.
You can check a lot of their commitments at Top Drawer Soccer. If you go to SLU's page there, they've got 6 guys listed for 2023 and another 7 for 2024, which that's not the whole class for 2023. They don't have international recruits on here, for example, but it is a good way to kind of get a snapshot of what high school players on the radar are coming in. And we are seeing them cast a bigger geographic net for sure. I mean, there's a good amount of Illinois and Missouri on here, but you're also seeing Michigan, Iowa, Texas, Colorado, a lot of Texas, actually, Minnesota. So yeah, they're making more inroads nationally. And man, Zach, I would love to see this program become a powerhouse again, like not just a team that makes the tournament more often than not, but like a true blue blood.
Yeah, I watched the soccer tournament, TST, the
Mhm.
version of the basketball tournament, and it was really like I get why they had the Dortmunds and the West Ham and the Wrexham team. Fine, like I actually really like that idea because it wasn't just like I don't know. Wrexham actually played hard, but like, and then you have the U.S. Women's National Team. Okay, fine, like I get it, but like I want to see more competitive teams. Like the point is to win $1 million. Why are we throwing in cupcakes? Like, this has to be dog eat dog, right?
Right.
That's why the basketball tournament was so successful. It wasn't about the gimmick. It was because these guys are battling it out for $1 million.
Right.
But yeah, we saw, I mean, Robbie Cristo played in that, Billiken alum, but Indiana had a full alumni team.
Mm.
And that's frustrating because to be the one, I think they're the one college that had an alumni team. And for the second most NCAA tournament championships, to get it over SLU is annoying.
Yeah, for sure. For
Um,
sure.
by the way, we are I'm just throwing this out there. Midtown Madness team of Billiken soccer alums next year in the soccer tournament. That's all I'm saying.
Will it into being.
I will. Um, yeah, on the women's soccer side, there was a bit of a fun event that went down over the last 2 weeks. I don't remember if it was this weekend or last. It saw 6 Billikens go head to head in the women's professional soccer league. It was Lufew's Academy versus St. Louis Scott Gallagher. And I believe that was played at Soccer Park.
Yeah, I got to admit, I mean, being on vacation and everything, I was not up on this event at all. But it seems like, yeah, as you say, there were Billikens all over it.
Yeah, definitely putting their stamp on the women's professional soccer league. Cool to see. Like, I like how like these women's soccer club teams are getting together and they're playing kind of bigger games. They're just saying to hell with the franchise model almost. You know what I mean? And I think
Right.
that's what more teams should do. Like, forget like the USL and the. I just go put a team together and start playing pro games. Like, I don't know. Just seems like an interesting, like, I don't know. It's interesting to see a grassroots kind of movement
Sure.
that way. On the track side, some great news. And then we're going to end it on a bit of a down note, Pete.
Yeah, we are. But let's start with the great news here
Yes.
because the NCAA West preliminary rounds were held in Sacramento on May 24th to 27th, as we discussed on previous episodes. And Toby Gillen, Zach, qualified for the NCAA Outdoor Track and Field Championships with a 5K performance that not only set a new personal record, but a new school record with a time of 13:30:27. For the first time in school history, a Billiken has gone to the Outdoor Championships. It is amazing, this kid's
I,
trajectory.
I want to kind of put that in perspective for anyone listening and thinking about it. 13.3 or 13-minute 30-second and 27, whatever, screw it. I run a 21-minute 5K. That is
Yeah.
13:30 is preposterous.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about half of the time I would do 10 years ago. So that's just incredible stuff. It's incredible stuff.
Endurance gets better with age, Peter.
Yeah, I have not found that to be the case.
Yeah.
I blame my children.
This will be the first time in school history that a Billiken has gone to the outdoor championships.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, he finished sixth in his heat. He qualified by having the best time outside the top 5 in the 2 heats. As we said before, the top 12 went. He was 13th overall, so he was kind of good. He was going to be a bubble finisher, and all he did was run his best race ever. So just incredible stuff out of him.
Evan Brenderman jumped 14.64 meters in the triple jump. Jaden Quadio jumped 14.49. neither advanced, but of course it's good to see Billikens get in the NCAAs in the first place. Nice season for both of them. Congrats on making that regional meet. Pete, let's talk about the NCAA championships.
They're in Austin, Texas on June 7th to 10th, and Toby Gillen's event, the 5K, takes place on Friday the 9th. So be sure and tune into that in just 3 days from now as we release this.
Let's hope that he hasn't picked a new school before he runs.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Yeah, no. Toby Gillen has entered the transfer portal. And so what's his buddy's name? I forget the one that got him here. But he's in the portal.
Oh, Harrison Martinenko.
Yeah, Harrison Martinenko is also in the portal.
But so, let me ask you this, Zach, because after you said that, I went and I looked at his social media and I did not see a graphic. I didn't see with that being said.
Oh, no, hold on. So Toby put it in his story.
In his story.
Yeah, it was a story posted by like a portal reporter of sorts. And then I got a message, a text from a former track athlete at SLU. It's the Stride Report on Twitter. The tweet is, a breakout star enters the transfer portal. 2 Indiana standouts head elsewhere, and Washington lands numerous distance talents. Check out the transfer market now on the site, and it's a pay situation. Oh yeah, sorry. The picture on the tweet is a picture of Toby Gillen.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's not great.
No.
I guess I'll go ahead and believe you. But I didn't want to. And there was part of me all season long that wondered about this. I was like, yes, I know it's track and field, but he's become like so good that like I just I gotta think that those top programs are ready to kind of
go get that, go wear that green and yellow and get that Nike money.
And I mean, look, he's an Australian kid, right?
Yeah.
And yes, Lou found him and brought him over here and everything, but as soon as like the real, like the track and field coaches who can go, we put dudes in the Olympics. It's just a different pitch.
Yeah. So and it's different. Like, I mean, I think it's a different mindset for endurance and athletics, more so than say a team sport. Because you're looking at like the NBA, and you can get to the NBA regardless of coach. The coach is not as important to a basketball player or a soccer player, or you know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's getting to the Olympics is a little bit different in an individual sport, is a little bit different than getting to the pros in a team sport.
My wife's cousin is a swimmer at Georgia. He's going to come back for his 5th year in the fall, but he's one of these guys. He goes out to the Olympic trials every year, and he's the next tier down, right? Like, he's not the guy who's like really threatening for an Olympic position. There was just a point like when he was in high school where his parents were like, here's where he's at. And to get him to that level, we basically need to give him a full-time one-on-one coach. And they were just like, we can't commit to like just paying someone's salary, which is essentially what you have to do. They're like, we've already invested so much in getting him to this point, and it's just that little bit more, right? And like him being like an all-conference swimmer at Georgia or whatever he is already like really, really good, but he's just that one notch below. And you're right, when it comes to those kind of sports, those endurance sports, or the more individual pursuits, even though yes, track and swimming, these are teams, but they're individual pursuits. If you can find that edge, that one-on-one edge to shave time, to perfect your technique, I mean, that is the difference between a guy who is a really good college runner, a really good uh, swimmer, and an Olympian. I mean, it's a fine line.
Yeah, there's a reason why age group triathletes hire coaches, which is still preposterous to me outside of like writing me a training plan.
Yeah,
Like to report back to someone on a daily basis and pay that person like $250 a month is insane to me. I just that's yeah. But yeah, it's crazy. I mean, yeah, you feel for, hopefully he stays. Would love to have him stay. But you feel for a guy like John Bell because you just can't compete at
I
that
know.
point.
I know you pull off the recruiting coup of your career, and then what can you do to retain him? Honestly,
Yeah.
what could he do to retain him? He'd have to like bring in a world-class coach alongside him to like, I really I have no idea what it would take.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
A big investment in one athlete that is just hard to
Yes.
do for a sport like that.
Yeah, there's no way. I don't
Right.
see it. I mean, unless he, a nice, calm conversation
Maybe we
over
should
a
have him on again and just shower him with
yes,
compliments.
yes. Your NIL is you get to hang out with us.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, duh. What, you don't like talking basketball? Actually, you know what, Toby? Here, we'll keep you. I will pay for you to teach me how to run. That's how we're gonna.
Oh, that's his edge, becoming the
Yes,
teacher.
yes. He's now. Wait, can I? Do we have to cut that out?
No,
No. Okay. Okay.
no way.
It's all for entertainment, folks. It's not. Just I don't know what I'm
There
doing.
are no rules anymore.
No
We can say what
rules.
we want.
No. This isn't. This is Vietnam. There are no
We,
rules.
we could literally dangle money in front of people now, and it's fine.
I'll picture you guys just bringing like recruits on, just like with. Oh, what is this in the background? I didn't know I had that cash there.
These boxes behind me it's all cash. All cash. What do you think's in my basement?
You're gonna get
I'm gonna get robbed.
that was the worst decision you ever made.
uh yeah. My house is in my name. What can I do?
Oh Jesus. Um, three players on the tennis team were named to the all-conference team. Ryota Fukushima to the first team, and Adam Bahoon and Andre Castellanos to the second team. On the women's side, Elizabeth Mintsova. I do that wrong. I am wow.
Yeah.
I miss that every time. Was named co-performer of the year and a member of the all-conference team. Noran Hashem made the second team. Pete, there's is this a new coach or is she just still the interim?
No, she's officially been named head coach as of today.
Okay.
And I knew this, Zach, because I had made a comment in the notes about the men's basketball assistant coaching job being posted. And my snide comment was like, does this mean there's actually movement? Or is it going to be like the swimming and diving coaching job and just be posted there for months? And then when I actually looked at the posting, I noticed the swimming and diving head coaching job was gone. I was like, that's weird. Went to and I refreshed. I had the tab open, refreshed the slewbillikens.com, the official page. And sure enough, the top story, Mary Woods was named head coach. So as you said, she's been the interim coach, but they made it official. She's been with the team for 3 seasons, not just this past season as an assistant. First 2, she was a grad assistant and then named an assistant coach, became interim head coach when Jim Halliburton suddenly departed the program late last August, as we remember at the time, and never really got a full accounting of why that happened, why he suddenly wanted to be an assistant at WashU. But regardless, that's when she became the interim head coach. She's young, Zach. She graduated from DePaul with a W in 2019. She was team captain, set a few school records there. graduated as a double major in kinesiology and psychology, and then earned her master's in project management at SLU in 2022. So this puts her at what, about 26 years old, 20, 25, 26?
I can't do math, Pete. I just know
Well,
that she was named interim head coach on October 27th.
October 27th. Okay. So that was, yeah, almost 2 months after Halliburton left, I guess. But regardless, she knows the program. She's been here a few years. Her comments anyway in the article were that she likes that they've got a lot of returners. She thinks there's momentum behind the program. I guess we'll see how she can recruit, but would love to see them start creeping up in the A10 standings, because they've typically been a bottom half program
The
pretty solidly.
the Instagram hashtag is roll aquabills, which I actually like aquabills.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
I kind of like it.
Aquabills. Yeah, sure. That works.
That's kind of fun.
Again, though, we need an Aquabill mascot, like, the mascot for each unique sport.
He's just all white and he's got a Speedo.
Sure.
I'm still on team, like, whatever sport the Billiken goes to, he needs to wear the uniform. Like, I just think the way he's dressed is ridiculous. Like, it's just a t-shirt and pants. Like, it's not like,
where are his big
him
foam
up looking
cleats
like
and
a
shin guards?
cheerleader, or dress him up as like it. Well, not he doesn't need shin guards. He just needs a jersey, like, but with shorts. Like, I don't like his pants. I think they're stupid. Anyway, women's basketball held their first summer practice on Monday. All of the incoming players are now on campus. That assistant coach position is still open. And then we have the Hippos, and we're talking about George Washington.
I put this in the notes as kind of, I mean, it's a big piece of A10 news, when
It's the dumbest
changes
thing
their
ever.
nickname.
You go with a moderately, like, I don't even know if it's moderately offensive.
I don't. This is one I never really understood in the first place. And look,
if Peter doesn't understand it, then you're really off the reservation.
I wrote a big research paper in high school that I kind of repurposed again in college. And it was about
whoa, academic dishonesty from Peter.
It's my own work. It's what does every professor in college do but their own work over and over and over?
Well, to be fair, all anybody does in their career is copy and paste. Like, we all can admit that, right?
Well, I mean, but in this case, I was copying off of myself and
right.
turning a paper into a PowerPoint presentation. But regardless, I did a big research project, and I updated it, with an extra 3 or 4 years of information on Native American mascots in sports. And when I was, a little 17-year-old know-it-all, I was going to be like, they're no big deal, and here's why. And by the end of my research, I was like, oh my God, this is horrible, and nobody should do this, because when you actually go back into the history of a lot of it, some of it's pretty grim. And colonials is one that, like, I guess I didn't really pay attention to this whole thing, because to me, it never really seemed like that serious until all of a sudden it was.
It's I mean, like, colony, like, colonials, they're citizens of the colony.
Yeah,
like, it's not like it's your nickname is not the colonizers.
Well, that's exactly right. I was going to say that, but also, like, when your mascot is George Washington himself, and like George Washington himself was a slave owner, and like a person that you would say, I think the term would be a complicated legacy, like a founding father, the guy who was like the undoubted charismatic, gonna be the first president level leader, but also slave owner, and like,
his history is a product of his time.
Yeah,
it's not like, it's complicated as hell. Looking at it through 2023's eyes, even looking at it through 1900s eyes or whatever. I mean,
your university and GW is a very strong academic university, and it's in the nation's capital. But like, it's named after George Washington, right? So the name Colonials the legacy of colonialism around the world is one of like a lot of bad stuff, right? Sure, I get that. But like George Washington colonials is like you either take it all or you take none of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like that's kind of how I feel about it.
You're
Like
yeah.
there's nothing that colonials is doing that George Washington isn't already doing. So if you're not comfortable with colonials, why are you still comfortable with the complicated legacy of this founding father? Like and so my point is like I would have just left it all. And I think those are interesting discussion conversations in a small classroom on George Washington's campus for those people to have and learn from. And that's great. It never struck me as one that needed to be changed though. I don't think it's
Kind of like
it's not.
Crusaders.
Yeah, that's a way, honestly, a way more probably problematic name if you're gonna like just take it for what it is.
To be fair, I don't even know what the Crusades were. Like not well, at least not anymore.
Well,
I
I was
did
gonna say,
when I was ready to be a history teacher.
yeah. Well, I was gonna say, well, that's because you didn't go to Catholic school, but then now I think
I
of it,
did.
and those were kind of papered over at Catholic school, or at least taught in a very different way. But
Yeah,
like
I did. I did go to a Catholic school. Well, not a Catholic high school,
a
but
high
yeah.
school, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, look, like colonials is just one to me that it's just like, hey, we're in Washington DC, we named the school after George Washington, it all
It's a
kind of
little
fits.
different.
But
Again,
the
it's not colonizers. It's not like
right,
rape and pillagers.
and it's one of those things,
Like Vikings is worse.
yeah, I mean now that you're going through like Crusaders, Vikings, all this, a lot of teams are named after kind of violent people. I
No,
like that's
yeah.
just
Or
it's just what it
animals.
the Idaho Vandals,
You know what?
not
Like
pretty aggressive people. But look, so that's one that never, I if they want to change it, it's fine. It's their school, whatever. I'm not actually bent out of shape about it.
no,
But the crazy
it's
thing
just
to
so
me, Zach,
dumb.
the funniest part is they changed it to revolutionaries, which is like
Oh.
it kind of feels like the same thing. And I know it's not a straight up one for one.
Che Guevara will be the new mascot.
It's not a straight up one for one synonym, but it's enough. It's similar enough to where I'm like, this is a
It's
really lazy rebrand.
you're taking one nickname that is in ambiguity. Its ambiguity makes it offensive to
Mhm.
whoever wants to take it offensively, right? Revolutionaries, same ambiguity.
Yeah, it is. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Especially when this initially came up and they were talking about potential names. I think there were like Blue Fog. And what were the finalists? It was Blue Fog
Was
and
Hippos actually
Hippos
considered as
was
a
not a
finalist?
finalist, but that was one that a lot of students pushed for initially, and I thought was like weird
That's
enough.
offensive to the softball, field hockey, basketball, track and the field athletes, the female field athletes. When you put hippos across their chest.
I thought that one was weird and different enough to like just like go for it, right? Like if you're gonna get rid of
Change your
colonials,
color to purple too while you're at it.
sure, why not? But this to me is just like it. I don't know. It feels like a very lazy. And I do wonder if the people who are calling for colonials in the first place to be changed are satisfied with this.
I don't
Like if
even think they're students at George Washington. I don't think they give a shit anymore.
yeah,
They're not
they've
even
moved
watch
on.
GW sports anymore. Have you seen their attendance?
That's that's true. That's true.
But this came up 5 years ago.
I think
Like
you're right. I mean, yeah,
I think I was in school still.
that's right. The people who probably initiated this have graduated and gone on. But like I do I imagine there's going to be a lot of like go revs. Like it's going to be
Yeah.
shortened to revs. There's going to
This
be
was
like
peak Occupy Wall Street. Like the changing of colonials. I think didn't it fall right in line? No,
I,
Occupy Wall Street. I was still in school.
again, I think it was after that, but
Yeah,
I don't
because
really.
I was still in school because I remember Lupe Fiasco at one of the concerts yelled Occupy Wall Street. I was like, I don't know what he's talking about. I have no idea. And then I found out like a year later.
So in this case, I don't exactly remember because I just it never seemed like that big a thing. And by the time that they were like, we're going to do this, I was like, oh wow, you guys are still talking about that. It surprised me.
That's what I thought they like decided they were gonna do it, but like it was like that who did it? Yeah, we're gonna do it, but not really. No, we're gonna do it. No.
Yeah.
I can see your lips moving. I hear you talking. Yeah, that's what it seemed like. It always seemed like it was, yeah, we'll do it. And then we're going to sweep it under the rug because you guys are just like 5 whiny people in a lecture hall. Like, I don't know.
It just, to me, this feels like they're trying to wink out of both sides of their face. Mm-hmm. Like to the alums who are like, don't change our school name. They're going, hey, but it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
And the people who are like, change our school name, they're like, this is different when you think about it. So
I just imagine like dudes wearing like hemp and kicking a hacky sack around. You know, man, revolutionaries is different than colonials, bro.
Except you're describing the students who generally just don't care.
I know
about this.
No, I was going for like an early 2000s stereotypical, like from undeclared. Student. Like from undeclared.
Sure. Or like PCU back in the mid-90s.
Solid.
This is like a PCU storyline.
That is, I thought my reference was deep cut.
Hey, I'm 40, man. Yeah. I mean, but I've been around long enough to tell you there's nothing new under the sun.
What was that? Jeremy Piven and
a young John Favreau.
Oh wow. I need to go back and watch it. I remember
he was the Baja wearing hacky sack, dreadlocked white guy stoner.
Right. That's right. I remember watching that. I think I rented it from Blockbuster. When I worked there, early college, like I would just like find the most random ass movies because I was bored.
Mm-hmm.
And that one was one that I had never heard of. I was like, oh, Jeremy Piven, that was peak like Entourage. So like that's how I came across it.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, you got some bonus like Zach and Pete bullshitting for 10 minutes. That wraps us up the week that was in Billiken Athletics. Follow us on Twitter at Midtown Mad Pod, at Peter is a tweeter, at Zach Miller MMP, and on Instagram at Midtown Mad Pod. Of course, we appreciate any and all suggestions you might have for the show. Subscribe, rate, like all platforms. Leave us a review on the podcast app of your choice. 5 stars would be awesome. As always, Pete, go Bills.
Go Bills.